Video games. I love them, you love them, we all love them. And if you don't, then why the hell are you even on my channel? There's a lot that goes into making a video game such a special experience, and as technology has developed, games have gotten bigger, better, and prettier. We've gone from colored blocks to the most realistic 3D polygons that your little heart can bear. Simple joysticks made way for elaborate controllers. And of course, instead of bleeps and bloops, games now feature high-quality sound effects, voice acting, and soundtracks. And it's that last one that a lot of people love about games, myself included. If a game has good music, it makes the experience that much more memorable. Whether you're gunning down bad guys, exploring strange new worlds, or thinking your way through puzzles, music can perfectly accentuate any given situation and really get you immersed in the atmosphere. But it's especially songs with actual lyrics that can really stick with me, as it goes a step beyond and in some form or another ties the music even further into the actual game. Whatever the case, a lot of great songs have made their way into the hearts and minds of gamers over the years, and I'm no exception to that rule. This is my personal top 20 songs from video games with lyrics. Now let's get the usual hoo-ha out of the way first. This list is strictly my opinion, so you don't necessarily have to agree or disagree with it, but feel free to tell me which songs you yourself like the most. As for rules, only one song per franchise and no licensed tracks either. The song has to be created especially for the game itself. So let's run down the list. Phantasmagoria, a puzzle of flesh. What can be said about this FMV game that hasn't been said before? It's oddly paced, dubiously acted, and unintentionally funny more than scary, to say nothing of its value as an actual game. But by glob, does it have one heck of an awesomely cheesy ending credits theme, entitled Rage. Now, I'm well aware that most people would probably decry this song as cliched or just plain bad, and, well, I guess I can't really argue with that. It's an admitted guilty pleasure for me, but I just enjoy it for its cheesy 90s electronic sound and overdone dark and moody lyrics. Hell, I got my buddy DJ Rigsmeister to do an instrumental version for me so I could use it for my Spoonie tribute way back. That's how much I love it. To me, it's a nicely cathartic little bit of cheese, and a perfect encapsulation of the bizarre horror story that it's a part of. Here's a little-known song from an equally little-known 2D shoot-'em-up for DOS, Interpose, where the Atlantean Overlynxes fight humans from outer space to decide the fate of the world. Now, I've never played the actual game that much, but I've always had a mild fascination with the game's theme song, Fairy Tale.
Once upon a time, so goes the story in your mind, and you tell it to your child who cannot sleep. The story isn't true, but somehow reminding you there is something in this life you try to seek. They'll say you've never thought or even stranger, how you got on board in this fairy tale. Whoa.
Now, I'm not really sure what this song has to do with spaceships shooting at space junk, but I still can't help but love it. It's a delightful little upbeat Euro synth pop kind of track with some odd but admirably cheesy lyrics and vocals, which is probably because this game comes from a Scandinavian developer. But the weird thing is, I had absolutely no idea how I first came across this song, considering my lack of any real history with this game. Either way, it's harmless fun and stupidly catchy. The Seventh Guest is one of the more popular games of the 1990s that I never experienced growing up. My younger and feebler self was scared away by the mere concept of exploring a haunted house, so I didn't actually get to see what all the fuss was about until years later, and despite the fact that the game hasn't aged particularly well, you can't deny that the music by legendary composer George the Fat Man Sanger was fantastic. Now, originally I wanted to put the main theme, The Game, at this spot on the list, but unfortunately the version with the actual lyrics doesn't actually appear in the game itself and only on the soundtrack. So instead, I'm going with the ending theme, Skeletons in My Closet.
48 years of living, an angel in disguise. 48 years of loving, smiling with my eyes. 48 years of memories, neatly tucked away. When daylight dies, I hear them rise and dance upon their grave. What's that sound coming from the dresser on a night as black as pitch? What's that sound coming from the bureau? Do I dare turn on the switch? Bones, them dry bones, all bleached and deathly white. I've got skeletons in my closet, rattling tonight.
For a time when MIDI and ad-lib music reigned supreme, it was pretty rare to hear a jazzy tune like this one in a game, let alone with such wonderfully creative lyrics regarding all the spooky, scary things that go bump in the night. A surprisingly humorous end for a game that otherwise tries to be spooky, keyword being tries, but I can dig it all the same. This song is one that some of my longtime viewers are probably already familiar with, the introduction to Sierra's Conquests of the Longbow. This game, based around the legend of Robin Hood and his merry men, starts with an extended sequence where Alan Adale the Troubadour outlines the plot of the game entirely in song. Though sadly the game itself doesn't have any singing as it never had a CD-ROM release, but the song nevertheless is very appropriate to the game's setting and a great way of setting up the plot and immersing you into the world of Sherwood Forest. And if you do want to hear a sung version, then go look up my old video where I took my best shot at it. Just don't expect any miracles. Shogo, Mobile Armor Division, brought to us by Monolith, who would go on to make such games as the No One Lives Forever and Fear series. This game here is one giant love letter to every Japanese mecha anime under the sun, and that of course extends to its theme song, Nigai, or Wish. Like this game was pretty much my introduction to Japanese-style mecha, this song was my first real exposure to J-pop. It sounds pretty much like your average Gundam or Macross opening theme, telling you to love and believe in yourself, and all that goodness. But that's clearly exactly what the developers were going for in this instance, plus bonus points for having it all in Japanese as well. It's catchy, it's fun, it's just like one of my Japanese animes.
I know we can make it together.
I love me a good visual novel, especially one that can really tell an emotional story and bring about the feels, as it is called, and To the Moon fits that bill perfectly, as in this story we follow two people who carry out an extraordinary job of reliving a dying man's memories to make his last wish come true and send him, where else, to the moon. An important part of the old man Johnny's story revolves around his relationship with his late wife, River, and the tragedy that stems from it is perfectly encapsulated in the game's iconic song, Everything's Alright.
Short steps, deep breath, everything is alright. Chin up, I can't step into the spotlight. She said, I'm sad, somehow without any words. I just stood there, searching for an answer. When this world is no more, the moon is all we'll see. I'll ask you to fly away with me until the stars all fall down. They empty from the sky, but I don't mind. If you're with me, then everything's alright.
This song fills me with so many conflicting emotions every time I hear it, but in a good way. It's astonishingly beautiful and emotional, and something I never expected to hear from a video game, let alone a relatively low-budget indie effort like this one. Needless to say, it's cemented its place in my mind and my music collection and will always remind me of this wonderfully tragic little tale. Ah, The Beast Within, one of the finest FMV games, hell, one of the finest adventure games ever made, and a damn fine sequel to the already solid predecessor, Gabriel Knight's Sins of the Fathers. This game has everything: werewolves, German castles, and opera. Yeah, you heard me, opera. A major part of the game's story revolves around the lost opera of Richard Wagner entitled Der Fluch des Engelhart. And wouldn't you know it, after finding said long-lost opera, you actually get treated to a full live performance, complete in the original German. Now, I'm not an opera aficionado by any stretch of the imagination, but this does sound pretty damn authentic to me. Robert Holmes did a stellar job on the soundtracks for all of the Gabriel Knight games, which are some of my favorites in all our gaming, but this right here might well be his crowning achievement. It's big, it's bombastic, it's got a fat lady and everything. It even tells a compelling story all its own if you can understand the lyrics. All in all, a fantastic scene in a fantastic game. Nuff said. Eco is pretty much the definition of a cult classic, not to mention an utterly beautiful little tale of two strangers working together as they try to survive and escape a spooky old castle. And it's easy to see why this game continues to be beloved by so many people to this day. Gorgeous scenery, sympathetic characters, interesting gameplay, and a beautifully moody score by Full Metal Alchemist composer Michiru Oshima, who also provides the wonderful closing theme, You Were There. This is the perfect song to cap off the long and treacherous journey that you undertook over the course of the game, full of sweet sorrow and melancholy, as the ending isn't 100% happy, but you still feel comforted by the fact that you've reached the goal and made it out in one piece after all that effort. All the more reason I'm happy to hear that Team Ico's The Last Guardian was finally confirmed to still be in development. I already mentioned before how I love a good visual novel, and that, my friends, most certainly rings true for Ever 17, as you probably already know if you've watched my quick critique of said game. The game's story presents a compelling mystery involving several people trapped in an underwater amusement park, and the intro immediately sets the stage with its opening song, Lemieux, Harukanaru Lemuria Tairiku. Even if I didn't understood the lyrics until I looked them up, the song still draws you into the calamity that's about to occur and make you want to know more about these people and how they end up together, and more importantly, how they're gonna get out of it again. It's a feel of desperation, but with a tinge of hopefulness. A great beginning for an amazing tale. Sam and Max, one of the quintessential adventure gaming duos, and one of the most prolific as they starred in an original LucasArts adventure before moving on to 3 full seasons done by Telltale. Not bad for a pair of characters originating from a relatively obscure comic series. Now, I can't give enough praise to the music by Jared Emerson Johnson heard throughout these games, but I especially love all of the wonderfully wacky musical numbers. My personal favorite of these is the Season 1 ending theme, World of Max.
Stick a fork in, open wide. Everyone is Max inside, full of colorful guts and habits, cryptic words of cryptic rabbits, underutilized impulse control, rabid rampant junk food, black hole, loopy cravings, rigmarole, feel his giant feet right in your soul. Manias. Everyone's a sandwich of naivety and cynicism. Everyone's a salad of disinterested fantasism. Everyone's a walking beaker of potential cataclysm.
If ever there was a song that perfectly captured the essence of Sam and Max, it is this one. I really adore the sophisticated and funny lyrics, full of wordplay and non sequiturs. And the way the music goes from being mellow to slightly manic really tickles my funny bone as well. So, what else can I say but...
It's a Max, 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 Max world.
Meanwhile, back at LucasArts, Grim Fandango is fondly remembered as one of their finest games ever made, near the end of their adventure game period. Spearheaded by the awesomely creative Tim Schafer, this film noir adventure in the land of the dead is full of surreal sights, morbid humor, and one hell of an impressive soundtrack by Peter McConnell. Though this song right here, Rusty Anchor, is kind of an Easter egg, as you can only hear it if you show a certain item to Glottis during year 2.
The anchor? Yeah, I think I know that one. If I remember right, it goes a little something like this. Oh, my boat's got a rusty anchor, rusty as she can be. Every port I go, I drop her, but she always come back to me. Oh, rusty anchor, going down, down, down. Oh, rusty anchor, guess I gotta hang around.
Now, Glottis is already a pretty entertaining and memorable character thanks to the excellent performance by his voice actor Alan Blumenfeld, but he's even got a pretty impressive set of pipes on him as he shows during this song, and it's a joy to listen to this big orange demon go into an impromptu little blues number. Only in Grim Fandango.
Well, what'd you think?
I thought you were created just to drive.
Well, over the years, you know, even a demon dabbles here and there.
I already talked about Gabriel Knight before, but designer Jane Jensen's gone on to make some interesting titles since her time at Sierra as well. One of the few that I've played and thoroughly enjoyed so far was Grey Matter, the story of orphaned stage magician Samantha Everett and her mysterious new employer Dr. David Stiles. Robert Holmes was on hand to provide the music for this game just as he did Gabriel Knight, but the game also features several songs by his band, the Scarlet Furies, and his and Jensen's daughter, Raleigh Holmes, performs the main vocals for the game's various themes, including this main theme entitled Never Going Back.
Oh, I'd wash it away if I could see the flowing water, nighttime light and dusty glow that bring the heat and fireflies. Oh, I'd run if your stare could find me, if you smirked, refused to share. Yes, I'd win you in that day.
Right when you hear this song at the very beginning of the game, it speaks volumes about the tone of the story, as it delves into the issues that our heroine Samantha finds herself dealing with. Plus, the combination of guitar, violin, and background singers creates a very eerie feeling overall, and I adore it. It's a song that I will most definitely go back to again and again. What can be said about the Portal games that hasn't been said already at this point? They've been lauded by critics and players alike for their brilliant, gut-busting humor and excellent first-person puzzle mechanics. And it's for those reasons alone that Portal 2 is one of my all-time favorite games. But another important reason for that lies in the game's ending theme, Want You Gone.
Well, here we are again. It's always such a pleasure. Remember when you tried to kill me twice? Oh, how we laughed and laughed. Except I wasn't laughing. Under the circumstances, I've been shockingly nice. You want your freedom, take it. That's what I'm counting on. I used to want you dead, but now I only want you gone.
Now, the original Portal's ending theme, Still Alive, quickly became a favorite among gamers for years to come, but personally, I prefer the sequel song over its nevertheless notable predecessor, if only because of how overplayed that one became. This one has all the same goodness going for it, as main villainess GLaDOS sings to the player about how she wants them gone in her usual sassy and sarcastic tone, set to a catchy guitar and synth tune. Certainly unconventional to insult the player at the end of a game instead of congratulating them, but that's Portal for you. And while we're on the subject of sequels improving upon their predecessors, Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. This brilliantly bloody ballet of bullets and badassitude managed to top the already magnificent first outing of this tragic cop who doesn't take crap from anybody. And wouldn't you know it, this game had an amazing ending theme all its own, performed by Poets of the Fall, and entitled Late Goodbye.
In a headlight, staring bleak, beer cans, deer's eyes, on the asphalt, underneath our crushed plans and my lies, lonely street signs, power lines, they keep on flashing by, and we keep driving into the night. It's a late goodbye, such a late goodbye.
After all the tragedy, betrayal, and heartbreak suffered by Max during the game, this song is the perfect outlet. It's raw and emotional, lets it all out as the credits roll, leaving you feeling sad but content at the same time, as you've brought this violent film noir love story to its logical conclusion. It's Payne, to the max, and we love it. I've never really been into 2D brawlers, and that includes the much-loved Double Dragon series. That said, the latest entry in the series, Double Dragon Neon, really appeals to me for how much it bases itself in the pastel colors and pop music of the 1980s, which is totally my bag, baby. And the magnificent 80s style soundtrack by Jake the Dog Kaufman culminates in this wonderful background track in the second level, Neon Jungle.
On the ceiling and onto the dance floor, flashing colors are shimmering bright as she watches them through to her delight. Like a tiger, she waits in advance for her attack when the moment is right. In a jungle of laser beams tonight. Follow me, your love is calling me. Take hold of me like a sorcerer controlling me. Crown me, get me clearer upon the magic mirror. I can see your true nature calling me.
You could probably play this song in a club and no one would probably even realize it was from a video game. It's insanely catchy, the lyrics are delightfully cheesy in that classic 80s manner, and the awesome beat makes it nigh impossible to sit still while you're listening to it. In short, this is a Neon Jungle that I totally would want to get lost in. The Silent Hill series has had absolutely no shortage of awesome music to its name since day one. Even as the series went on and descended into mediocrity, it's generally agreed that the music remained just as eerie and atmospheric as it's ever been. And of course, that meant a substantial number of songs with lyrics too, such as my personal favorite from the Wii outing Shattered Memories, Hell Frozen Rain.
She can't hear your voice. She can't hear you call. You have earned your choice. If you're here, can you prove you're really here? There is a moment in time when all the cards that you played divide. You feel the temperature dive, and all your demons inside come crashing through. In your mind's eye lives a memory hard to find, blinded by sorrow, and a strange voice sings a melody. Hear it sing, hell frozen rain falls down.
I actually listened to this song long before I started playing Shattered Memories, and hearing this is what actually drove me to finally try the game proper. The vocals by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn evoke a strong sense of mystery and confusion that ties in well to the plot of the game, and it's a rocking good song all the same, thanks to seminal series composer Akira Yamaoka. A damn good final outing for him to be sure, and a great song in its own right. It's no big secret that the Neverhood is my favorite game of all time. Hell, I did a whole review on that game years ago to sing my praises of it, but a large part of that is because of the excellent and bizarre soundtrack by Terry Taylor, who also returned for the game's quote-unquote sequel, Skull Monkeys. Now, I'm not quite as fond of that game as its predecessor, but the soundtrack is probably just as good, if not even better, than what came before. And that brings us to the subject of the day, the little bonus room.
Here's a little bonus room, 'cause I know you've had it tough. And here's a little bonus tune about collecting real cool stuff. Yes, here's a little bonus room where you can play. Don't be frightened, don't run away. You can linger, 'cause I'm your video friend. Think of me as a father figure with a hand to lend.
This song is just hilarious, plain and simple, not to mention nice and mellow as it encourages you to enjoy your stay in the little bonus room. Though this part right here,
There are no monsters here. Hey, wait, look over there. I was just kidding. Don't be scared.
bullshit, there are definitely monsters here. You lied to me. An epic fantasy game with an epic fantasy title like The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim needs an epic fantasy soundtrack to complete it, and ain't nobody who understands the meaning of epic and fantasy better than Jeremy Soule. He already did great work on the previous 2 Elder Scrolls games, but for this one, he took his original Elder Scrolls theme song and reworked it into something even more grandiose, entitled Dragonborn. Barbarian chorus, made-up fantasy language, bombastic orchestra. This is just the perfect song to get your blood pumping as you dive right into the fantastic world of Skyrim and fight against dragons. Heck, a special version of this song entitled One Day Fear plays every time you do exactly that in the game, and it's a magnificent motivator to give it your all and show those dragons who's boss. Fusroda! It's kind of incredible that I've never really talked about the Metal Gear games on my channel until now, because it happens to be one of my favorite series of all time, warts and all. They're big on spectacle and story, and aren't afraid to get a bit goofy as well. For many people, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater was where the series reached its pinnacle, and it all started with the aptly named theme song, Snake Eater.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill, I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
Just as Shogo was a loving tribute to anime, this song pretty much owes its entire existence to James Bond. Grandiose music, campy lyrics with a touch of that Metal Gear self-awareness, and impressive female vocals make this a classic theme that perfectly sets the stage for this tactical espionage action game. But you know what's even better than a song with lyrics? A song with lyrics that you're an active participant in. That is exactly what happens in LucasArts' The Curse of Monkey Island. Now, the Monkey Island series was no slouch in the music department already. The second game alone introduced the revolutionary iMuse engine that allowed songs to seamlessly transition into each other. And the crowning achievement of this was found in this third game, when Guybrush Threepwood's crew engages in a little musical number known as A Pirate I Was Meant to Be.
We're a band of vicious pirates a-sailing out to sea.
When you hear a gentle singing,
You'll be sure to turn and flee.
Oh, this is just ridiculous.
Not only is this a humorous moment all on its own, you actually still have control over what Guybrush says to his crew as it goes on, but all your attempts to motivate them just end up encouraging them further.
Come on, men. We've got to recover that map.
that pirate will be done for when he falls into our trap. We're a club attuned for rovers.
We can sing in every clef.
We can even hit the high notes.
It's just too bad we're tone deaf.
A pirate I was meant to be, trim the sails and roam the sea.
But that all comes to an end when you finally find the one thing that they don't have an answer for.
We'll surely avoid scurvy if we all eat an orange.
And,
Door hinge? No. Guess the song's over then.
guess so.
Hilarious, lengthy, and a technical achievement, this one more than deserves the #1 spot. And that's the end of this little medley of musical magnificence. Now, as I already said, there's plenty of other songs like these found in games everywhere, but hopefully I'll have shed some light on what makes these particular 20 so special to me. Thanks for watching, and see you out there somewhere. To stay up to date on my latest videos, be sure to hit that big subscribe button and leave a like and comment to give me some feedback. If you want to help out the channel and get early access to new videos, along with other rewards, then go to my Patreon and send a bit of cash my way every month for every video I make. Speaking of, a big thank you to my latest patron, Blonde Guy Gamer, my fellow contributor from River City Gamers who makes awesome videos in his own right. Keep being awesome, and see you all next time.